So I'm just wary of how loud the wind is going to be. Is the wind too loud for me to be filming right now? So I have been talking to a new boy, and like, it's nothing serious yet, we're just talking. He's an LA boy. He's a producer and he lives in LA. That's what's been happening, but he's really sweet. And that's all I'm going to give you on the subject, because you're all little fucking perverted detectives, and I know that you'll figure out the rest for yourselves. In other news, look at that fucking view. Look at that fucking view. This is sexy. This is so sexy. Like, this is such a sexy book. And dark. It's so dark. Devastating, relatable, maddening, infuriating, beautiful, sad, heartbreaking, funny, hilarious. Hilarious. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Devastating, funny, sweet, sad, romantic, heartbreaking, dark, crazy, sexy, hilarious. This is non-fiction, but this one is called Denial of the Soul. And this is actually about the ethics of euthanasia. I mean, I found it fascinating. It's about, like, when is it okay for someone to be like, you know what, I want to opt out, and then kill themselves, kind of like medically or whatever. Also, this is one of the greatest books I have ever read. Everything I Know About Love. It's just about, like, growing up as a girl, I guess. This is called Bunny. It's by Mona Awad. It's like written like Psychosis. Like, it's written like Psychosis. It's hallucinogenic and terrifying and like trippy and bizarre and mean and sexy and completely insane. So I finished this book finally, and I said that I was going to make a video on my opinion on transgender rights and stuff like that. And then I thought about it, and then I remembered this podcast episode. That I watched one time by these two white American males, and it was their thoughts on rape. It was a 2-hour point, and as a rape victim myself, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. These two white male American men, of course, made a 2-hour-long podcast episode on their thoughts and opinions about rape. And it was like, it was such a fucking car accident, but I watched every moment of it because I just thought, these people are fucking delusional. Like, how the audacity, right? But when I thought, well, I'm going to post a video about my opinion on transgender rights, I thought of these two men, and I thought, what right do I really have as a not a transgender person? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a transgender person, so why do I even get to have an opinion on the matter, is the point I'm trying to make. That's what I've come to. My opinion is that my opinion doesn't matter, you know, because I'm not a transgender person. And the people that we should be asking about how should we be treating transgender people are transgender people, obviously. So I'm not even going to really voice much more of an opinion than that on it, because what right do I have, you know what I mean? This was incredibly well written for his first book. Devastating and beautiful. Why is it so complicated to, like, figure out all this transgender stuff? It's not really. Just treat others as you would like to be treated, you know? This book was the most honest, like raw. Do you like my nails? I got them done for the Barbie movie. I feel like it's worth keeping in mind that transgender people don't owe us these explanations, you know what I mean? Like, they don't owe us these beautiful books. Elliot Page did not owe us this beautiful book, and he wrote it anyway. And I feel like we really need to stop feeling so entitled to these explanations. And I feel like everyone should read this book, just at least to get like a glimpse into what it is like to be a transgender person. Are you still following me? Good. I think I need to get my regrowth done again. I never really noticed it as much when I wasn't like filming myself all the time, but now I really notice it. So maybe I'll do that then. That's the other thing I've been trying to get better at, not repeating myself endlessly, because I understand that I do go on a bit sometimes. You know what? I'm going to tell you something else. Your man doesn't care if you're fat. Like, if your man cares that you're fat, then maybe he's not a real man. You know what I mean? And what that means more technically is, I guess, maybe he hasn't embraced his entire being yet. Like, maybe he hasn't healed his trauma. Maybe he hasn't dealt with some of his issues. But the technicalities aren't really the point. The point is like, how is that going to make you feel in the long run? You know what I mean? Like, how is he going to make you feel about yourself is what I think it comes down to. Not too crazy. I think I'm getting better at judging like exactly how crazy I'm being different times though, and it's good to know crazier people because I don't know, I lost that thought. But my point was, it's good to know people in the crazier range, on the crazy spectrum, because just roll my eyes at myself. Because then you don't feel as crazy, you know. And also, that's my other advice that I've been meaning to say for a while. Surround yourself with people who embrace your crazy and who embrace your entire being, you know, like. And your man doesn't care if you're fat, like. He doesn't, he shouldn't. That's the other thing, you don't understand how sexy you are to men. If you're a girl, like, are you a girl? Yeah, you're sexy. I guarantee you. Men think you are sexier than you can ever imagine. Because they're perverts, you know what I mean? Like, there are men out in the world who take photos up girls' skirts. Like, old men, and I have seen them. And they have photographed up my skirt without my permission. A homeless man actually came up and he was like, oh, hey, this man is taking photos of your skirt. And I was like, what the fuck? We have these people in the world? Yeah, we do have these people in the world. And so I'm just trying to make you more aware of them. The way that we continue to treat fat people, like, are we children? Seriously? I feel like we should have evolved consciously beyond criticizing another person's body. Because why would you criticize another person's body when you know that they are living in that body? You know, like, that's where they live. And so that's how I think about it, at least after reading Page Boy. Like, that is something that we should always remain conscious of. If you're criticizing another person's body, just be aware that that's where they're living. You know what I mean? And I think that's hopefully somewhat helpful. Different people into different things, you know? Like, the other night, I listened to a podcast episode about furries, like the furry subculture. And I was like, whoa, this is a whole world, like it is. And they're all over Tumblr. But my point is that, don't worry, you're sexy, like, you're definitely sexy to someone, because the world is filled with perverts. If your man criticizes your weight, leave him. Leave him for another man, because there are loads of them. And you don't need that negativity in your life, because I love you too much. Hi. How are we today? Oh, is that... Hold on, I need to clear some memory. Because you need to trust your own... I can't just start the sentence in the middle of a sentence. Sorry. The other thing I want to talk about is, okay, so like, if I'm not talking to you, I'm not talking to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that we need to point out a distinction between not talking to you and just not talking to you. Like, I'm not talking to you. A lot of the time, a lot of you, this is not like a specific to anyone, it's just in general. A lot of the time, sometimes, you know, people don't reply to me all the time. Leaving someone on red, that didn't used to be an offense. You know, our culture created that, turned that into an offense, when it's really just not. Like, if that's an offense to you, then that's a manifestation of your own ego. So maybe you need to, like, just change your thinking around it and be like, well, maybe they're busy, you know? Just assume that everyone's maybe just busy. Or maybe, is it too hard to wrap your head around the fact that maybe they just don't like you that much, you know? That was a book and a movie. He's just not that into you. I usually use this like twice a day, once a day or twice a day. Also, sometimes this when I run out of this one. This just whenever I remember to. So, Tata is incredible. It's divine. When we are in a... what do I call it? A connection with someone. And that could be any connection, you know, like maybe there's a flirty boy in your DMs, or maybe your connection with your father or your best friend or whatever. Like, you guys, what you're doing is you're vibrating in space together. And so when it comes to like dating, what you're doing can be thought of as like you're interpreting the vibe, you know? But you also need to bring the vibe. So what do I mean by that? I mean, everyone knows what vibe means, you know what I mean? Wow, that was quite a sentence, sorry. What I mean is that you can't expect anyone else to complete you in any way. They shouldn't be adding anything extra to your life. You know, like you come as a whole person in your box, like a figurine. You come in as a whole person, and then you, in a relationship, it should be like you both bring your whole person into the relationship, and then you are two whole people. So I feel like maybe a lot of us need to be a bit less sensitive, and I understand that that's not so easy. But, you know, I have like genuine integrity. I'm talking about fat phobia and stuff like that. So I'm not just trying to bruise your ego, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to build us all up into fortresses so that we are walking around the world in a more solid way, so that we don't crumble so easily. Do you know what I mean? Another person is not going to complete you, and you are not incomplete without another person. That's all you need to realize. I feel like we come whole, you know, like that's how we come. When we're born, we come into this earth whole, and then it fucking rips us apart. I'm sorry, I'm really trying to stop swearing. And then it rips us apart, and then we're damaged, and then we have to heal ourselves. So I am hoping that my videos are helping you heal yourself. Do you feel healed? Do you feel healing adjacent? I feel like it's worth remembering that we are all human beings, you know, like we're just trying to be in the right way, and sometimes we fuck it up. But having said that, I will say, if your man is making you feel like you need to change things about yourself, like if someone tells you to change, just delete them, like block them, kill them. You know what I mean? Because there are so many people who will just be like, okay, I accept you as you are. Like, there are fucking zillions of people in the world, and we can access all of them very easily. Like, can you even comprehend that? Yeah, there are zillions of people in the world, and we can access them all in a heartbeat. If you see someone in something and you're like, oh, I really like that person, you can send them a message and see if you might want to get to know them. That is completely insane. And what it does to like fame kind of makes it like insanely accessible, doesn't it? Makes it very accessible. But my point was that I also feel like what it does is it reduces our empathy to a degree that I feel is probably a bit dangerous for loads of unhealed people. So that's why I'm doing Lord's work and helping us all heal our souls. Would you say that's what I'm doing? I mean, I don't want it, but maybe you say it. Sorry, I am really feeling myself today. There are so many things that I think and then don't say because I have impulse control. Thank you for tuning into this video. Do I need a shower? Maybe. But then maybe I could just go to church all dirty. Oh my gosh, I'm kidding. Shut up. Go to sleep. You ever have a conversation with someone that just has you like smiling for literally the rest of your life? But remember, don't forget, everything is temporary and we all die alone. Alright, I love you. You're in control, Allanah. And what I'm trying to say is that if we tend to and cultivate our vibe, then we can make sure that we are vibrating at the highest possible frequency, and then you meet other people and they bring their vibe and you're like, I kind of like this vibe. Or like, I fucking love this vibe. Or like, however you feel about their vibe is really all that we need to be paying attention to. Like, you know what I mean? You know when you're on acid or something like that and you're like, whoa, I don't know anything and I can't say or think or do anything, and it's just kind of like hard to describe. That's such a helpful state to be in, because then all you know is what you feel. Oh, what a phenomenal observation, Allanah. You're in control, Allanah. It's important to know when you should, like, what things you should change about yourself and what things you should be like, nah, you're gonna accept me. When you're talking to boys or dating or whatever, yeah, when you're dating or when you're exploring options, it's important to be like, I am going to be myself no matter what happens in this situation. So if that's a deal breaker for you, then fuck off, you know? I mean, I'm trying so hard to stop swearing. There are some habits like violent crime and kidnapping that we should probably start to try to cut back on. But then there are things like maybe you talk too much, or maybe you something about your body. And if someone tells you to change those kind of things, like, what? No. Why would I edit me to fit into you? That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're being like, okay, I am one whole me. I come as me as a whole me. And you and I might fit together. And that's what we should be aiming to do, is fit, like just find people who fit with your vibe. You know what I mean? And you need to work on your vibe, like your vibration. And it's really that simple. Tend to it like a garden, because it kind of is. You are a garden. Sometimes I say something and I'm like, that's so crazy, like you've lost these people. Yeah. I hope I haven't lost you though. I hope you are still with me. So we're all vibrating in space together, right? And if you make me feel good, then I'm going to vibrate more towards you. And if you make me feel bad, then I'm going to vibrate away from you. Sometimes we get confused and we can be like, oh, you make me feel not good, but because of that, I want to kind of prove myself to you, try and like make this into something that is good, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's not good, like just leave it. If you can just take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you know, like don't drive yourself crazy about like, what is he going to think of this one message, you know, like we don't have time for that. You don't have the time or the energy for that. Just take it as a whole, you know, like, well, what is the general vibe that I'm getting from this person? And when you trust your intuition, as you should, you can know that like, well, actually, this person makes me want to vibrate towards them because they make me feel good. It really is that simple. We overcomplicate it. What I'm trying to say is that you want to be with someone who you don't need, but you want, you know? Like we're trying to go out into the world like, I have all of the things, but I'm exploring if you might also have all of the things and want to enjoy vibrating in space with me. And then, because really all they're going to add is the vibe. Shut up! But what I'm trying to say is that way too many people are trying to like edit themselves to fit into other people's lives. And it's like, what? But why? But what? You know, like chill, just step back. Because as girls, what we need to be doing is just kicking back and waiting, like letting boys try to impress us. Literally, everyone, you're all putting way too much effort into like being do I sound like a fucking bitch? Sorry. But I feel like we're all so beautiful. Like you are so much sexier than you can ever imagine. You can't see yourself through the male gaze is one thing, but through the eyes of people who love you and know you, like you are so beautiful. So I'm just telling you that so that you can just be aware of that. Like you don't need to do anything to be sexy. You are already, like, you don't need to do anything to be sexy. Way too many of us. And it's like, well, why would I edit myself at all if I can instead just find someone who I fit with, like a puzzle piece, you know? It's like Tetris. Like, well, maybe my shit fits with your shit and you know what I mean? You don't need to spend any time around someone who makes you feel like you need to edit yourself to fit in with them. Yes, that's a good sentence. You don't need to spend any time with people who make you feel like you need to edit yourself to fit in with them. You can find other people who you fit with like Tetris, like a puzzle piece, and it'll just flow. You know what I mean? Because all of these conflicts that we're creating, that's just our egos. And if we could just be like just a bit more conscious of that, then we could stop driving ourselves and everyone we love insane and just be like, oh, wait, actually, maybe I'm just chilling. Are you with me? What I'm trying to say is that you need to look at the bigger picture. You know, like how much effort do you really think that it's helpful to devote to, I don't know, different aspects of your life? You know, like are you maybe thinking about this too much? And I'm talking generally, but it always helps. Like, it always helps me reset to like look at the bigger picture, you know? Because like, are you spiraling? You might be spiraling, and that's okay though, because all you need to do is notice that you're spiraling, and then you can like stop spiraling. We don't need to prove anything to anyone. We don't owe anyone anything. I mean, as long as you're good with God, that's all that matters. Like, so long as you're good with God, you can behave like an animal. You bring the vibe. The takeaway message of this video is that you cultivate, you tend to the vibe, your vibe, and then you bring the vibe. And we don't need to associate with people who lower our vibe. Like, you can find other people. There are loads of people and you can access all of them in a click of a button. Because of that, you way of life with social media and stuff, like I feel like we don't need to compromise on any area of our lives. I saw a video the other day of this guy, and he said the best relationships are 60-40 with the effort where you're both trying to be the 60. I'm going to show you how to sage your house, okay? Now we're going to burn the sage, and you say, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I consciously, intentionally, and strategically cleanse and clear this energy of any and all darkness, leaving only pure light. Because the best relationships are where you are just... Because the best relationships are going to be the ones where you're not caught up in your own ego, your own image, you're not caught up in your own mind, in your own head. You're just like living in the moment, completely embodied with this person, and just like, it just flows. You know what I mean? If he is telling you things like you are too annoying or too loud or you talk too much, guess what? He's the problem. Don't edit yourself to fit into this man that you obviously don't fit with. Like, he's got his own shit and he is projecting it out on you and telling you that you're the problem. Guess what? You're not the problem. You might be the problem, but trust yourself to assess whether you are the problem or not. But trust yourself to assess whether or not you are the problem and to what extent. The extent to which you can be realistic and honest with yourself is going to determine the quality of your relationships. Your man should not be another thing that you have to deal with. You know, like and I know that this is a big ask, but he should be able to handle his own emotions. Is that so unreasonable?